Hi, welcome to my VMworld tour, episode number 13. Today we're here with NimbleStorage, CEO Suresh Vasudevan. I hope I got that one right.
You got that perfect, thank you.
Okay. Suresh, first question for you is, tell me who you are as a person today.
Well, I'm CEO of NimbleStorage, as you know. I have two daughters, so I'm a father of two daughters, 7 and 9. They are in first grade and going to second grade, and the other one's third grade, going to fourth grade now. I have been in Silicon Valley now for almost 15 years, so in technology for almost 15 years. I was in India up until 97 and moved to the US 15, 16 years ago now, and so I've been in the US for a while now.
Okay. Anything specifically when you disconnect from being CEO?
Yeah, I guess. So on weekends, what I like doing, I go mountain biking. I'm getting less and less good as time goes by, but I typically get about 2 rides a week. Other than that, it's hang out by the pool with my daughters, and that's mostly what I do.
Family man. Okay, I like that. So you mentioned growing up in India and then coming to the United States. I think I already know what the background might be, but explain me what happened there. Because it sounds a familiar story. I've met a few CEOs that had a similar background. Walk me through that. How did you come here? What happened in your life?
Yeah, so I was born and brought up in a place called Hyderabad. It's South India. Classic. I went through engineering school in a place called BITS Pilani. And then I did not come here to do a major in engineering. So after I did my engineering in India, I went to something called IMCAL. It's a business school in India. And I did my business degree in India. And then I actually joined a company that had nothing to do with technology, McKinsey & Company. It's a consulting firm. So I was a consultant in India for about 4 years, management consulting, strategy, and went for a while, worked in the Middle East with McKinsey, and then I transferred over for what was supposed to be a 1-year transfer to Chicago. And my wife was at IBM all through when I was at McKinsey. She was a salesperson at IBM, and then she did marketing at IBM and so on. She transferred over to Chicago with IBM as well. Both of us thought we were coming for a 1-year project. The only reason we picked Chicago, by the way, we were both going to try to go to South Africa. I got my South Africa transfer, she didn't. Chicago was the only place where both of us got our transfers for the same year, so that's how we landed up in Chicago. Yeah. So life is full of coincidences. So my work was with steel plants cutting costs in Gary, Indiana. This is a place that used to have 200,000 people, and over the years as steel died, it went down to 30,000, 40,000 people. I hated my job in that 1 year, going to a place that was already decimated and trying to take out more costs from a steel mill. And it so happened that around the time, this was 97, 98, around the time a friend of mine had joined NetApp, having quit McKinsey. So I was on vacation in California when he said, just come and meet the executive team of NetApp and then decide. You'll find that this is a completely different place from McKinsey. That evening I made up my mind I'm going to leave Chicago and come to the Bay Area. NetApp offered me a job, which is great. I went back to my engineering roots with NetApp in 98 and stayed with NetApp for almost 10 years. Different roles. I was in product management. I joined first in M&A and then corporate development. Then I went into product management. Then I ran the product management team. Along the way, NetApp acquired a company in storage security called Dicru. I ran that for about 1.5 years, not very successfully because the Dicru's encryption market disappeared. One of NetApp's principal competitors, EMC, acquired RSA. And so Dicru at the time was structured as this independent security company that would try and partner with EMC and while working with NetApp. The moment EMC acquired RSA, that whole strategy didn't quite pan out. So we reintegrated Dicru back into NetApp's core, and that's when I came over to run all of the products at NetApp. So R&D, technical marketing, and product management. I joined the executive team and ran all of the NetApp products. Unfortunately for me, the 1.5 years at Dicru just completely ruined me. I came back, I had a much bigger role at NetApp, I was in the exec team, but my best years were the 1.5 years. Dicru went from, I think, 2 million, or 6 million a year, to about a 50 million a year in just 1 year. And it was great. It went from 40 people to 220 people and so on. So it was addictive growth. And so that was the seeds of why I eventually wanted to go run something small rather than be at a large company. That's a very long answer. But
No. It's actually the answer we look for, because that comes to being an entrepreneur and starting something new. How did that happen?
Yeah, so I did not. So what I did in 2008, I think end of 2008. Just a quick background. That was when I first met with the two founders of Nimble, Varun and Umesh. So the quick story on that is in 2007 at NetApp, like everybody in our industry, we got convinced that flash and solid-state drives were arguably the biggest disruption in our industry. And we did quite a few things at NetApp to take advantage of flash. Lots of projects. Many I had launched because they were within R&D. But even as we launched all those products, one of my core concerns was that almost everything we were doing at NetApp around flash was layered on top of a existing file system that had been constructed in a disk-centric world.
Yes, that are not built to write to silicon.
Exactly. And so one of the things that I did, in fact, there were two of us. James Lau was the founder of NetApp. He was running mergers and acquisitions at the time. I was running products. And so we met with 4 or 5 different companies that were all doing interesting work around flash. That was the context with which I met with Varun and Umesh. Varun, his background, he was employee number 11 at NetApp, ran quite a bit of the software team at NetApp in the 90s, worked for James Lau. James Lau hired him in 93, 94. And so knew him pretty well. I knew Varun from my days at NetApp. In that conversation, really the ideas, Nimble was barely a very young company at the time, not much had been built at the time, but the ideas that I started hearing from Varun and Umesh in that conversation completely confirmed my point of view that a ground-up design was going to be really hard to take on as an incumbent. That, coupled with my desire to go run something small, led me to leave NetApp. I went and became CEO of another $100 million company, and I also joined the board of Nimble after I left NetApp. I had great luck and great timing. So at Nimble, just as Nimble was launching product, we were looking for a CEO to run Nimble. Varun had run the company and sort of brought the product to market. And then we wanted someone who would sort of run that from that point forward. I was on the board helping with the recruitment while my other company got acquired. So I just flipped sides and said, I'm now a candidate.
I'm available.
Absolutely. I window shopped for about 2 years, so I knew exactly what I was getting into.
You was a CEO and you were looking for a CEO.
That's right.
That's great. So run me through maybe the last 12 or 18 months at Nimble. There's a few pretty established now hybrids solution players in the market, but the big ones are still not following.
Right.
So Nimble has been fruitful, we can say that, specifically the last few years. What happened in the 12, 18 months of things that are very important for you?
Yes. So if I look back, we've been in the market now for 3 years. So if I look back about 12 months ago, or even 18 months ago, and think about the trajectory of the company, you were right. Around the time that we introduced our product, there were probably over a couple of dozen companies within, let's say, a 6-month time frame that also introduced product. Yes. There were at least 4 or 5 really strong technical teams in the valley that launched flash-based products, whether it's all flash or hybrid or others. If I look back on the last 12 to 18 months, probably the thing that I'm most proud of is we today have about 1,750 or north of 1,750 customers. A year ago, we had about 550 or so customers. Right? So we've added about 1,200 customers in the last year. In the last quarter, on a quarterly basis, we are adding somewhere between 300 to 400 customers. Most of the other flash-based companies that launched around the time we did, their cumulative customer base is less than 300 or so that we added in one quarter. And so we feel sort of very good about the validation that we've seen in the marketplace. If I think about perhaps the organization that we've built, in many ways that's sort of the more important measure of sort of are we building a long-term company. We had, I think, 220 or so employees about a year ago. 2 years ago, we had about 60 employees. Today, we have about 460 employees. And so we've really grown at a very, very rapid pace in terms of organization as well.
Yeah, I think when you say 400 people, we're already speaking about global expansion, right?
Yeah, you're exactly right. We went into Europe maybe 18 months ago. We're now in the UK, Germany, France, Netherlands, Nordics, and so fairly broad presence in Europe. In Asia, we started with Australia maybe almost 9 months ago now, or 10 months ago. Actually, almost a year ago. We now have presence in Southeast Asia, Singapore, and distribution relationships in many parts of Southeast Asia. We are in China through a very large partner. We are in the process of opening offices in Japan, so Asia has become a fairly large presence, although a lot more opportunity lies in every one of these markets, just considering how small we are. But international expansion has been a big driver for us.
If you look forward to the next 12 months, what would be the biggest challenge for the company? And within that, what is your challenge there?
Yeah, maybe I will say one other thing as I look back about what has caused us to go this. Many of us think about technology as the foundation of how startups do well, and we've done that really, really well, right? The one thing that I think has caused us to acquire customers at such a rapid pace is, if there's one metric that we hold dear within the company, it's customer referenceability. So we have built a very strong evangelical customer base, and part of that is because not only have we built a great storage product, we also built an automated support platform, an automated remote management platform that allows us to act as if our customer systems are at the edge of our network, not just at the edge of our customer system. So we're basically almost monitoring our customer systems on a real-time basis. And therein lies, sort of, as I look at the next 12 to 18 months, I would say I'm not going to say it's a challenge, I think the single biggest priority is simply just maintaining the scale and the pace of expanding our scale, right? And that means scaling the pace at which we are adding employees without diluting our culture, probably the single most foundational thing we have to get right.
Yes.
That means scaling the number of customers. So where I'm saying we have 1,700 customers, a year from now, I'd love to think we have more than 3,000 customers, and we are very well on our way to getting to those kind of results, if you will, right? So it's scaling customers. It's making sure that we have a global model for support where if we serve a very large enterprise, over the last 6 months to 12 months, we've started adding large enterprises at a very rapid pace. And one of the things that we're doing very well is serving them with global support logistics, right? So scale is probably the single common denominator across all of these dimensions. Scaling effectively is probably the thing that I most spend my time thinking about. And I say it's our highest priority. I'm not yet certain I would call it a challenge.
Well, I think scale is a challenge, right? If you want to be so close from support level that you are in each and every data center looking yourself, if you expand that times 3 in a year time, you'll have a challenge keeping up with that same, let's say, SLA of support, right?
So let me go back, because I fundamentally believe most good technology companies that break down at some point, break down not because the technology breaks down. If it is, then they won't even get to the point of having 2,000 customers, right? Once you get there, to go from 2,000 to 10,000 customers, the thing that first breaks down is your ability to support customers well, right? So this is why, to give you an example of what we do, the state of the art in our industry is when a customer deploys an array, once a day you get a log from the system that says here's the configuration of the system as deployed in my customer site. When something goes wrong, the customer picks up the phone and says something's not working well. You spend about several hours gathering diags, gathering performance logs.
You already have them.
We basically are monitoring these systems every 5 minutes. We gather somewhere between 12 to 70 million sensors per array per day, right? So our database has hundreds of billions of sensors that we are tracking for real-time problem isolation, real-time error notification, and so on. So I think that's where we've come. That's our entire management platform. The irony is, beginning of this year, one of my big budget items that I was concerned about was the amount of storage we are consuming to just store these logs from our customer systems, right? But what it's allowing us to do is not fret about will our support model break down, because as much as I think we have the world's best people in supporting our customers, I actually think we've really enabled them with a phenomenal platform. Going back, that was something we introduced over the last 12 months in particular that's really standing us in good stead. So I think we can scale our support, we can scale the expansion of our technology, we can scale the expansion of our organization. It's also the challenge that I spend most of my time thinking about.
We're almost at the end of VMworld. I think everyone is becoming a little bit tired. It's been an awesome event. What I do like to know, how important is the whole VMware ecosystem as such for you?
Yeah, the camera can't see this, but right across from you is a chart with our 5 most important partners, and VMware is one of our 5 most important partners. Right? So VMware has been an important partner from the very beginning. We do see a trend in our customer base towards deploying pre-validated reference architectures, and so we spend an enormous amount of time working with Cisco, working with VMware to create what we call a smart stack. So we have a smart stack solution for VDI. We have a smart stack solution for business critical applications. And so we've created smart stack pre-validated reference architectures, all built around VMware, around partners like Cisco. And so it's a very important partner. I think VMworld as a conference is, I should say thanks to VMware, because it's become a data center conference more than the VMware conference, right? It's sort of every data center partner that you care about is at this place. And so that's it's the ecosystem of people that we have to integrate with for creating sort of easy to work solutions in our customer data centers.
Suresh, I think we're going to wrap it up here. I want to thank you very much for your time. And I don't even have to go back to the booth now because we've already seen most of it. But we do know the technology. One of the things that I do like also about Nimble is that you are a supporter of the community. I see lots of Nimbles at VMUGs, local VMUGs. We like that very much from a community perspective, that the vendors show their products there. So thank you for that as well. And specifically, thank you for your time.
Thank you very much, Hans. Thank you for your time. It's great talking to you. Thank you.
Thank you.